When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Welcome back. As promised, the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to get as many of the leading political leaders to come in to talk about the upcoming provincial election. We've had Éric Duhem, Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois, we've had Colin Standish, and now in studio, happy to have the Quebec Liberal Party's leader, Dominique Anglade. Dominique, thank you very much for joining us today.
Really happy to be with you, David.
So, a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about the main story this week, violence in Montreal, gun violence. Premier Legault stepped in, Mayor Plante, and you responded quite forcefully yesterday on Premier Legault's take on what's going on. So I would start by saying, okay, what's your criticism, your main criticism about Premier Legault, but also what would you do different if you were Premier of Quebec?
Well, David, first of all, the main criticism is about presence. When something like this happens, you have two people being killed in one day, I expect, as a premier, I would be on the ground, meeting with the people, understanding the issue, and it's not something that's new. The whole question around violence has been discussed for months, for years now, and you see keeping it increasing. So we need to take real actions in order to solve the issue. So what are those actions that you're talking about? Yeah. First of all, increase the number of police force, for sure. Making sure that you finance the city so they have the flexibility to really react to the situation. But the other element that is also critical is the whole question of prevention. You know, I'm the M&A for Saint-Henri-Sainte-Anne. Yes. And in the last 2 years, I've had different meetings, like meeting with the community, meeting with different groups. And the question of violence is always the one that it comes up because people are really getting worried. People are not using a certain metro station because they're afraid, so they prefer to use another one. They have kids that they are sending to school, young people that died. So people are worried about this. So my expectation would be, as a premier, to make sure that you are not only present, but really tackling those prevention and investments and increasing police force.
So I understand your criticism of Premier Legault about not being physically present, but let's face it, politically for him, Montreal is clearly not a priority. He's shown it over the last 4 years. He won't even debate in English. But you're saying more police officers. Is more police officers really the solution? I mean, right now we've been talking about more police and talking about gun control, and it seems like the city's throwing the ball to the province throwing the ball to the feds. Everybody's talking, a lot of talk, and I remember during the municipal election campaign, you followed that. I mean, it was an issue back in 2021, and even before, when I was an M&A in VO, you were an M&A in Saint-Henri-Sainte-Anne. It was an issue. So I'm wondering, I mean, we talk, politicians talk, but there's no real action. I mean, what needs to happen? Because I'm not sure it's just a police issue.
It's not only a police issue, but that's why we're talking also about prevention. That's why we're talking about giving means to the city of Montreal. But one thing that isn't for sure is a fight between Quebec and Montreal. Like when I see Premier Legault doing the same thing he did with Bruno Marchand in Quebec City, doing what he's doing to Valérie Plante and saying, we have to debate, like how are we going to fix it, and having all of those talks. This is not helpful for citizens. What we need is clear actions from the government. And again, the whole question around prevention, the whole question about getting more people involved, social workers involved as well. It's been discussed for months now, and no action has been taken in place. That's the issue.
What was your reaction to this morning's story in the media that the Plante administration it's because the Plante administration denies this, but it seems it's coming from the Quebec government or sources within the Quebec government that say that the Plante administration actually took funds destined for the SPVM and used it to reduce funding, actually, or to pay general expenses.
Well, David, you've been in politics as much as I have, and you know very well that when something like this happens, why are they doing this right now? Like, I don't want to see the city of Montreal and the government of Quebec fighting over this. What I want to see is everybody working together, finding the solutions, because that's what we need. That's what the citizens are asking. They're asking for help. They're asking for support. They're asking François Legault to do his job. And his job is not to be in Quebec City in an office sending emails, sending tweets, and saying that this is important and I'm going to fix it. We need to have clear actions on the ground. All
right, I'm going to move to healthcare now. You're very aggressive on this issue. You're saying you're going to solve the family doctor problem. Yet, when we were both in government, family doctors were a problem, and we didn't solve it then when we were in power. What's going to be different this time around?
So first of all, David, when we were in government, both of us together,
yes.
When we were in government during 2014 to 2018, 1 million additional Quebecers got a family doctor. 1 million. Those are stats. This is real stuff.
I'm not disputing that, but
so now,
we still left because, okay, I'm going to interrupt you here. What I mean also by this is the fact that the healthcare system being in crisis cannot be only the fault of the last 4 years. Everybody's saying over the last 10, 20, 30 years, we've neglected our healthcare system, and we're all at fault a bit for that. So I'm wondering, because a lot of people are saying, okay, here we go with the promises again. But while 73% of Quebecers disagree with the way the Legault government has handled healthcare, they're still ahead in the polling. I don't want you to talk about the polls, but what I want to hear you on is that people seem to be now completely immunized to all these promises on healthcare. So why should they listen to the Liberals and to you that this time you are the one that's going to solve healthcare?
Because we're the only party right now saying that we need to fix the first line. We're the only party saying that we cannot drop the idea that all Quebecers should have a family doctor. Today, what François Legault is saying is we went from 400,000 Quebecers that were waiting for a family doctor to 1 million Quebecers that are waiting for a family doctor, but it's okay. We're not going to fix that. We're going to do other things. What we're saying is we can't let them down. We have to find a way to get at this. And the way to get at this is to provide a number of items. Yes, we need to increase the number of doctors. Yes, we need to increase the number of practitioner nurses, but we also need to make sure that the family doctors that are working in hospitals 12 or 15 hours a week, that they can work in clinic. We also need to make this a priority. Right now, we have issues in all our emergency rooms. You've never seen this, David. We're getting used to something that we've never seen before. People dying because they're waiting for an ambulance in 2022 in Quebec. This has got to be revisited. And when I see the Minister of Health making a big announcement on basically a structure that he wants to change at the helm of healthcare, we're not focusing on the patients. We're not focusing on the solutions on the ground.
But how are you going to bring, for example, more nurses into the system? There's a labor shortage. We don't have enough nurses. There's some, and a lot of nurses are actually leaving to go either to just leaving Quebec, leaving the profession, or going to the private sector. So how are you going to bring them back?
So the whole question around manpower shortage, you know as well as I do that François Legault has said, it's a good news that we have power.
Yes,
power
it's because
shortage.
we have a great economy.
We have a great economy. But now it's becoming ridiculous because we're missing there are 270,000 jobs that are not fulfilled today. So one of the things we want to do is to make sure that we work on this issue of manpower shortage. How? Making sure that people that are at the age of 65 and plus go back to work if they want. part-time, full-time, but with an incentive to do this. This is part of our platform.
Isn't the Legault government already offering this?
No.
There's an incentive there.
The incentive that we're talking about is that if you decide at the age of 65 that you're going to go back to work full-time or part-time, instead of being imposed at after $15,000, it's going to happen at $30,000. So it's going to make a difference for people.
Okay.
And the seniors are asking for this. So this is a specific measure. Same thing for women that want to go back to work. They are pregnant, but they don't find a place for they're pregnant and they have children and they can't find a daycare. We need to make sure that they can go back to work. Immigration. In the last 4 years, David, we had fewer nurses, fewer teachers, because François Legault did not let thousands of people here in Quebec. We also have to talk about immigration and say this is part of the solution. And he doesn't want to recognize that this is part of the solution. That's another element that we're going to add to the plan. So when you talk about healthcare, it's not only fixing the healthcare system, but it's also talking about the people that we're going to get here in Quebec in order to work with us. We have no alternative. This has major repercussions on our ability to serve the population.
Welcome back. David Hertel in for Elias, joined in studio by Liberal leader Dominique Anglade. Dominique, when we left off, we were talking about immigration. The labor shortage is massive. Michel Leblanc of the Montreal Chamber of Commerce is calling on all the parties to really take a stand. The Quebec economy is at stake. The CAQ doesn't seem open to raising immigration levels. What are the Liberals saying to this?
Well, honestly, the situation is getting crazier by the day because it's not only the economy, David. It's also the services that we're providing to people. Look at this is back to school day. My son started school this morning. It's a failure. It's a failing grade that I would give to François Legault. We don't have teachers. We have issues with school buses. We have issues with infrastructures. I mean, but this has an impact on everybody. And instead of saying we're going to recognize this and part of the solution is immigration, is ignoring the topic the same way as ignoring the English-speaking community and doesn't want to show up here. So if you're ignoring a problem, it's not an issue and you're not going to fix it. That's really never going to be my approach. You look at the problem, you find solution. We have, right now, the limit for immigration is 50,000 people with the François Legault government. What we want to see is an increase to 70,000 people for the first year. After that, we want to work with every region to make sure that we know exactly how many people we need to support each region. That's what we need to do. That's the way to engage a conversation and to engage people into finding solutions that are impacting everybody.
You've always been very strong on policy, and I hear your attacks on François Legault, and you're attacking the CAQ government, and it's very thoughtful, very reasoned out. Now, when we're looking at the English-speaking community, our listeners, the target is much less the CAQ government, which I would say most of our listeners are against. I don't have a poll, but I have a feeling, talking to them, reading their texts. But at the same time, with the Liberals, and we've talked about this before, your handling of Bill 96, there's a lot of trust issues between the English-speaking community and the Quebec Liberals. The target, actually, for you, for the Liberals, if you take the West Island, the English-speaking ridings, you're talking more about the Conservatives that have made headway. You're talking about the smaller parties, the Canadian Party of Quebec, Bloc Montréal. Some Liberals are talking about just staying home. Again, the question is still there. What do you need to do to regain that trust? And not only regain the trust, but get those disaffected Liberal voters to come out and actually vote on October 3rd.
So thank you for this for this lengthy question, David. The first thing that I would say is this election is about François Legault, is about the handling of the province. He's been dividing us. He's been doing this consistently, saying that he's governing for a portion of Quebecers, not all Quebecers. And it's about values. It's about what you stand for. And what we stand for is a united Quebec, with all the issues that we're facing, David, we can't afford to be divided. We have to be all united. And the only party that is saying we're going to unite, like Francophones, Anglophones, Allophones, is the Quebec Liberal Party. Now, we have work to do. That's why we have a campaign. I'm really proud of the candidates that we have that are like renewing the party as well, bringing new voices, new powerful voices. If I think of Desiree McGrath, I know you had Brigitte on the show, Brigitte Garceau on the show,
Liz
Prass and Jennifer Macaron joining the team of Isabelle Melançon, Enrico Ciccone. We're building a strong team of people that are aligned with values and principles that are really telling people, we're going to be representing the voice of every Quebecer, and we're not going to create that division between the Anglophones and the Francophones. We don't need this. We never need it, but if there is a time where we really don't need it, it's now. So this is a message that we're going to send. The other thing, David, again, I never shy away from a debate, never. So our presence is going to be important. When people have questions, when people have concerns, like I want to be there and address those questions. I was doing the QCGN trip this week. There was an event with QCGN, a town hall that I did, and I will continue doing this, answering questions, getting the feedback from people, proposing policies that are aligned with what they're going through right now. I think this is going to be critical.
Okay, that's one. But again, how do you regain trust? What are you going to do with Bill 96 if you form government?
Bill 96 is a flawed law, and we need to fix it, and we will fix it.
How?
So repealing the notwithstanding clause, repealing all the clauses that are limiting access to healthcare and social services, by repealing as well the freeze on CJEP, making the classes, the 3 classes, optional. I mean, these are the things that we're going to do to fix this flawed bill. We've identified those issues. We were clear. We voted against Bill 96. We voted against Bill 21. Our positions are clear as to what we're going to be doing day one when we get back in government.
And when you get back, what about Bill 21?
Bill 21, we're going to repeal the notwithstanding clause.
Okay.
We're going to repeal the notwithstanding clause and make sure that it doesn't apply to education.
Okay. So to gain power, yes, you need to keep and even make sure you win seats in and around Montreal, but you have to also win throughout Quebec. On the Francophone side, polling shows, some polls show the Liberals at 8-9% in the Francophones. Those are the last polls. Again, I understand you don't believe in polls, and there's one real poll. It's October 3rd. I get it. But there's a steep hill to climb to be able to form government with the Francophone vote. How are you going to go by doing that?
The way you go about doing this is having the right candidates representing the regions. If you look at the people we have in the Outaouais, if you look at the people we have in Abitibi, think of all the candidates that we have in Estrie. Those are people that are connected to what's happening on the ground, that have been on the ground for a while now, presenting the proposals that we have, and people, the English-speaking community, they want to hear about Bill 96. They want to hear about Bill 21, but they also want to hear about healthcare. They also want to hear about immigration. They also want to hear about the economy and the fact that we have a hard time making ends meet, and what are the solutions. And if I can give you one example of that, we are reducing taxes on middle class for all Quebecers, but we're also saying the only thing that's not increasing right now is the revenue of our seniors. Our seniors are really having a tough time right now. We want to create a senior allocation of $2,000 per senior per year. That's going to happen year over year to make sure that they stay home, that they don't have to move, to make sure that they can face the future without the level of anxiety that they have today. Those are the things that we also going to be talking about. You said earlier that I like policies. It's true, but because policies, they also change the way people live, and that's the role we have in politics.
Dominique Anglade, I want to thank you very much for coming in studio and spending the time with us this morning, and I wish you all the best for the campaign.
Well, thank you so much, David.